Hello and welcome to the City of Cedar Falls Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, June 26, of 2024. I call this meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Alberhaski? Here. Grebovich? Hartley?
Here.
Henderson?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Leeper? Moser? Sorensen?
Here.
Stallnaker?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you. First agenda item tonight is approval of minutes. Looking for any comment or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, that will go into record. There's no old business tonight. Tonight there's new business. Second agenda item is a final plat for the Arbor's 5th edition. And JD, do you have this tonight?
Actually, I'm going to take the next
okay.
couple items.
Okay.
Michelle Peasley is out of town right now, so I'll fill in for her. This is a final plat for Arbor's 5th edition. This is 6.96 acres that's north of Viking Road and west of Arbor's Drive. This is part of the larger Arbor's subdivision. There are 7 phases in that subdivision. This is phase number 5. It's been developing since 2014. In this phase, there's 21 single-family residential lots, and it includes the extension of Autumn Woods and Fernwood Drives. The requirement for a final plat is that it has to comply with and be consistent with the preliminary plat, and it's consistent with all aspects of the preliminary plat. So staff is recommending approval of that final plat, 6.96 acres, 21 lot residential subdivision, subject to all technical requirements and the required legal papers when they get to council review. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Commission have any questions for staff? Okay. Is there anyone, or is the petitioner here tonight like to speak to this item at all? If you'd like to come up and talk to, name and address, or if you're just here for questions, that's. Okay, thank you. I'll bring it back to the commission. It's a pretty straightforward process here.
Yeah, I would move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Did we have a public that wanted to speak about this item?
Oh, sorry. Before we vote, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? I see none. Okay. We'll bring it back for a roll call vote, please.
Alberhaski?
Aye.
Hartley?
Aye.
Henderson?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Moser's not here. Sorensen?
Aye.
Stallnaker?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries, and that will move on to council, likely not until the first August meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you. Third agenda item in new business tonight is preliminary plat for North Cedar Estates. And Karen, you have this tonight also?
Yes.
Mr. Commissioner, I would like to recuse myself from this because I have personal interest in this property.
All right. All right, thank you.
So this is the first time that you've seen this item. This is a preliminary plat for North Cedar Estates. You can see the location map here. It is west of Cypress Street and north of Lone Tree Road along the extensions of Hiawatha and Pocahontas Streets. This property is owned by Jim Sands, and he owns a larger parcel. You can see here the 14.43 acres we're considering tonight was rezoned to R2 in May of 2023. The remainder of that 46.25 acre property is zoned A1 agriculture, and the reason for that is that area can't be sewered right now. So when Mr. Sands came in for a rezoning, he just rezoned the southern third of his property, and that area is able to be sewered, and so is ripe for development. So this area then would be, is proposed for 33 residential lots. It's proposed to be just one phase of development, so it's not a phased development. There are 3 tracts here for stormwater management, and there's 1 lot proposed, outlot for a proposed park. I'll go through the details of that a little bit. The property is zoned R2. The minimum lot size in the R2 zone is 7,200 square feet. The setbacks in that zone are 25-foot front yard. The side yards are 10% of the lot width, and the rear yard is required to be 30 feet. All the lots proposed in this subdivision meet those requirements. In fact, a lot of the lots exceed those sizes. The subdivision will include a continuation of Hiawatha and Pocahontas roads from the south. Sioux Court is a new cul-de-sac that's in the center of the development. You can see here. It can't be extended to the south, obviously, because there is existing development in that location. Sac Avenue is the new east-west street that's on the north side of this subdivision that will extend and abut to the abutting property to the west and will allow for future development to occur to the west. There's not a possibility for eastern connection because of existing development. Stormwater management is proposed here in 3 infiltration basins. This is a little bit different type of stormwater management than in some other areas of the city. And I think the applicant's engineer is here if you have any questions about it. But basically, these will collect stormwater like other basins, but there's no storm sewer in this area. So there's no storm sewer to connect to another area or into some other, to drain into the area. So this is sandy soil here, so these infiltration basins basically will collect the water, and then it will soak into the ground in these basins behind the lots. With this stormwater management, the engineers have looked at this, and the project engineer, and they're sized appropriately to handle the stormwater for this subdivision. And we know that there's been some drainage issues in the neighborhood in the past. Now, this will be more impervious surface when these lots are developed with homes, but it'll be a managed stormwater system versus just regular, runoff from the farm fields that's uncontrolled. So this is a more controlled approach, and so it should address some stormwater management issues. And again, the engineer is here to answer any questions that you have. The sanitary sewer will be extended north from Hiawatha and Pocahontas roads. During the rezoning, the parkland is shown on the future land use map, and during the rezoning, Mr. Sands indicated that a park would be included in this subdivision. What's proposed here is land that's in part of that A1 zoned area right now, but parkland doesn't have to have a sewer. So this is centrally located that would serve then this subdivision, and then eventually at some point in time there will be sewer hopefully available to develop that northern portion, and then this parkland could also serve the remainder of the subdivision as well when that land is subdivided. The park is proposed at 0.8 acres, and it will front on 3 streets, so there'll be good access from the public. They're proposing to dedicate this to the city with the final plat, and with that, we typically would have it graded and seeded according to city standards, and then the sidewalk would be installed prior to dedication, so with the other public improvements with the plat. And that sidewalk is just on the south side here then of the park. So usually when there's something proposed for dedication to the city, we check with the Parks and Recreation Commission. So we'll be talking to them at their July 11th meeting and discussing that. So we're recommending that you consider and ask any questions you have tonight, anything that you have we'd like to bring back to the next meeting, but we won't schedule this for another meeting until after the Parks and Rec Commission has met so that we can bring their recommendation back to you for your consideration. So with that, staff recommends that you discuss this for initial discussion and gather any questions and comments from P&Z and the public, and continue it to the July 24th meeting. happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff?
And I'm not sure if it's questions for staff or for development or petitioner when it comes to that time, but I have a few questions. The first would be regarding the water detention basins and how much rainfall, was taken into consideration. What amount does that cover? I understand, I read through the packet, sandy soil, it'll eventually drain out is the theory, but at some point it's going to sit there. So how much rainfall is able to be held?
So
short
I'll
term?
let the engineers answer that question once you
When it's
guys.
their turn?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So how much capacity is there for those storm basins? And what, and my question, just to build on what you asked, is just around, has this been a flood issue? In the past, you mentioned that it's been runoff, and it sounded like that this would solve that issue?
I think it will perhaps make it better, but I'll let the engineers speak to that. However, with any flooding, it depends on the level of the flood, right? So can't say never, but this is supposed to handle the stormwater that's generated by this subdivision, not solve all the flooding problems in the area. It's supposed to handle the stormwater that's generated by this subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm just not sure if this is a staff question or, again, petitioner question, but the street parking for the park, how wide is that street? It looks like the parking will have to be on street. So will that be designated parking on street for the park, or?
So it's a fairly small neighborhood park, so we're not anticipating this is for the neighborhood residents. So a lot of people would just be walking to this park. So there isn't any parking proposed for the park, but this is a standard 31-foot wide street, so there'd be parking on both sides.
So there will be parking on street just for any purpose, not
Right,
just, okay,
right.
perfect. That's what I want to know.
Okay, thank you. Is the petitioner here tonight would like to speak to this item?
Yeah, we are. Do you
Could you come to the mic, please, and just name and city for the record?
Dan Aarons, VJ Engineering.
Okay?
I didn't know if we want to get any questions from the public and do it all at once, or if you'd like me to talk to the detention basin volumes first.
Yes, I suppose. Why don't we is there any public comment for tonight? And if there is, you need to come to the mic and name and city and your question, and we'll see if we can get that answered for you.
I'm John McSweeney, an adjacent landowner. First, I had a question about the park, which was not on the letter that was sent to the residents out there. Just exactly where is that located? Is that in the northwest of this addition?
They're bringing it up right now, I think.
So this, you can see the image. There's a rectangular there in the center, so it'd be kind of in the center of the land there.
I see it now.
So not abutting any adjacent properties, just abutting this subdivision.
Yeah. And looking at this plan, I really have a problem with cul-de-sacs. You did that whole winter's addition out there in the corner of Dunkerton and Center Street. There's 30, 40 houses only have one exit out of there. A severe accident with gases escaping and stuff, but people have no way to escape. Here you've got another one. There's a big fields and stuff to the north. You could have a big field fire. People wouldn't be able to get out of there. What we call the Indian Roads, the development to the south of that, has a perfectly logical plan, east and west, north and south streets. I'd like to see that. I'd also like to see if you want to have an expansion, and I'm really not in favor of any development out there, let me tell you, but if you're going to do that, you should have roads laid in to all the adjacent properties where development is possible. The cul-de-sac prevents a road going into my property, and you have a road going to the property to the north. Now, I don't want a development, but I'm not going to live forever. If you want to look to the future, there should be roads to those properties instead of a whole bunch of chopped up little subdivisions all over town. The original plat for the city of Cedar Falls laid out just like the whole state, nice grid. And that's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so the petitioner, please. Yeah, I guess we do have questions on the retention water or water retention, and I'm assuming these are like a ditch or a swale type of,
Yep, so they're a swale, they'll be completely easy to maintain. They're 4-to-1 slopes in most places. Basically, the goal is they just be treated like the rest of North Cedar. Karen mentioned, there's not a whole lot of these in town. Well, all of North Cedar is pretty much the same system. Instead, it's just ditches. And full disclosure, I live right in that same area, and that's what I have, is a ditch out in front of the house, and that collects the rainwater, and it infiltrates. But these are designed much better. They're way larger. They're designed to handle the 100-year storm and detain all of the 100-year storm, and then release at the 2-year rate or less. Now that said, we did do soil testing out there, percolation testing, and that measures the rate of infiltration of water sitting in that area. And it measured, and I don't have it in front of me, but about 3 times as much quick of rate as the rate we used in the calculations. So there's a 3 times factor of safety just built in right there on the infiltration rate and how much water that ground will take. This is a much better system than what's out there now. When we mentioned flood issues, there is no floodplain in that area. The one issue that is noted was, she's probably 15, 18 years ago, and the field was frozen, and we got a big rain on top of frozen ground. And a bunch of the neighbors did have problems, and that's not a question. And the reason that this is much better is that wasn't a 100-year storm that flooded them out. It was much less. It's just nothing could infiltrate as it normally does. These basins will cut off that water from being able to just free flow down the hill into these people's basements and into the neighboring houses and create that same issue. So essentially, the one issue that we really know about, this will solve, and the one that we have a history of seeing out there. So, and there's even more than a 3 times factor of safety. They're built with freeboard. It's, let's just say, we live out there. Another engineer lives right along this same area that worked on all this, and he doesn't want his house flooded out either. So.
okay, thank you. Is there more questions from commission for the developer?
Is the intent of these basins to be like with like tall grass plantings or just plain grass? I mean, who maintains them?
The intent is that they just be mowed. Our original intent was that they actually be owned by the homeowners and just treated as their lawn. City requirements did not allow that, so they had to be placed in tracks, and so an association will have to be formed, and it will be their job to maintain them.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for developer? Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? You need to come to the mic if you want to speak. Name and city, please.
Jim Sands, Cedar Falls. I dug 12 test holes with my excavator on the whole property to see what the soil was. As soon as I got about this deep, it just gravel sand. And those retention ponds are going to be about 4 foot deep, so it's real close to draining really good. And if we could even put some tiles, auger down, put some tiles down to get down into that better stuff too.
Okay.
That might be a possibility too.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's all I got.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question for staff regarding the gentleman earlier about emergency vehicles. I mean, a development needs to be approved by the fire department, emergency vehicles for approval as far as concerning the cul-de-sac. Am I correct on that?
Yes, and of course, the subdivision code does discourage cul-de-sacs, but in this particular case, there's development in the way, so there's not a possibility to extend that street in the future. There's, even if, like the gentleman said, he gave up his lot in the future for a street, it really wouldn't lead to providing any more for development. So what we want is making sure there's enough streets stubbed to adjacent properties that allow future development. And we feel like this is the best that can be done here. Unfortunately, from Cypress Street on the east, that whole street was developed without any connections when that was developed to the west. And so there are very limited connections to the east, which is unfortunate. But with existing development, there's not a lot that can be done, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I just had a question to follow up on that. Was that just done before there was code requirements and as far as access?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these streets are pretty old.
Okay.
Old development, and so, we've tried to get better over the years on a lot of these things, and we are talking a lot about street connectivity and how much that adds value, and also for safety reasons and for efficiency and for cost of providing public services. It's all, very good to have these connections, and it also allows for future development much easier to happen in the future. So we're dealing with an existing street pattern in the city. So in a lot of cases, maybe streets won't be able to be connected where we'd like them to be, but we'll try to get better going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Would the next potential development to the north into that A1 as sewer becomes available, would that fix that situation?
So, yeah, so he's got 3 streets then stubbed to the north. So those streets would then extend to the north and then eventually go all the way up to Dunkerton Road. And so then that would be the east-west connection that does connect over to Center Street. That's the one place, you can't get through to the east on Cypress, but you can. I don't know if I've got enough of the aerial photograph showing. Might not. Yeah, maybe you can, I don't know if you can see very well, but you can see that on the north, it's all farm ground up there, but you can see Dunkerton Road is on the north edge of that, and that does go all the way over and connect. So that's the only possibility for east-west connection then into this area. But good connections north and south, and hopefully as the land develops to the north, there'll be good connections to the west as well.
Okay, thank you.
And just to follow up on the gentleman's, commentary about not, like in the development, that horse or that train left the station, right, when it was zoned R2.
Yeah, so the zoning does allow for development, and that was all assessed at the time of the rezoning.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir?
Jim Sands. I guess he didn't notice that the street was dead-ended at his property. So it's going to make his property worth a lot of money down the road.
So,
And Pocahontas and Hiawatha, there's 2 exits out of the property, not one.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for staff or the developer?
I did want to double check on the size of the park, 0.8 acres. You said it was a small community park, understanding all that. It sounds like, in theory, eventually this might be approximately 46 acres worth of a development. What is the guideline that we have for developments on size of park per acres or units, or I can't remember the metric?
So we don't have a really specific metric in the subdivision code. It basically says shall be, open space shall be provided to serve the residents of the subdivision. So we generally look at rule of thumb. This would be about the size of maybe a Clay Street Park. So that's one of the reasons we want to go to the Parks and Rec Commission to have them weigh in on, is this size of a park something they would not want to take on, or, so should be something they would consider. So we'd like them to weigh in on it, and then we'll let you know what they have to say.
But to your point, if this other land has these sewer access and all that and gets developed, there's a potential for an additional green space with that as well.
Well, I guess that potentially could be expanded if that's subdivided and rezoned in the future. It could be more parkland added to that particular park, because as it goes further north, there'd be an opportunity, in theory, to expand that space.
So I think that's something that I think it'd be helpful with the Parks and Rec to, put that in the back of their mind, because when it is developed or rezoned, and I don't know how long it takes to do all that, but because I think that's a fair point because of the extent of the future development.
And it's so with the park you're going to the park commission to see if they want to take this park on, correct? So if they don't want to take it on, does it stay in the development and then it becomes a responsibility of like a HOA to maintain it? Or am I talking on stuff that doesn't need to be talked about right now?
Well, I think those are all good questions. I think what we would like to have is the conversation at the Parks and Rec Commission and have them talk about all of those things. What would, if they don't think this is adequate to accept for public park, what would they find adequate? We could talk about all those aspects of it, but those are all very good,
Okay.
good questions.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions before we'll wrap up this conversation, and it will move forward to another meeting once we have more information to discuss. All right, thank you. Commission updates.
That's why we brought JD along.
All right, we're going to have a big commission update now.
Yes. Well, thank you. Good evening, all. Let me get my slides. So this commission updates is about the projects ongoing or almost completed in downtown character district of Cedar Falls. I know there was one update that was done probably end of November 2022. In 2023, we had smaller projects, but they were not progressing. So here are the updates that we have. So this is the first project I'd like to highlight is the Clay Street Cottages. It's also known as Cottage Court development. It's at the corner of 9th and Clay. The frontage on this was neighborhood small, and I'm reiterating that because we initially talked about it in our last meeting in 2022, but most of you are new faces, so I'll just reiterate what the project was. So the project was about to build 2 cottage courts development, which will be 12 independent cottages with 2 courtyards. And each unit was to be 1.5 story high, and the footprint of the unit is 650 square feet. So the highlighted area in the hatch is where this site is located. Currently, a review has been completed. Phase 1 of the project is also completed, and the next phases are ongoing. So this was the illustration that was proposed. As you can see, the 12 unit on the image to the left and a garage in the back along alley. And the right image shows what one cottage court development looks like. So the central area between the units is a courtyard. It's a common space between the units. And I wanted to share the progress. So here is our first phase completion. The left image is aerial shot of what the completion of the phase 1 looks like. I think the first 3 units along 9th and Clay are done. I think one of them is also sold. And then the other 3 are in progress in construction, and so on the next ones will be. But this is one of a unique kind of a housing development that we are seeing in Cedar Falls, and this is just the first. We may see many. So yeah. But I just wanted to just share some updates. So more to come when the project completes, but it's mostly going to be the same character. The next project that I would like to highlight is we also had a site plan and a design review for a new single-family detached home at 422 Iowa Street. The location is on the corner of 5th and Iowa. This is also the neighborhood small frontage. This review has been completed for this project, and the work also has been completed. This project was to include development of a detached single-family unit with an attached garage, with an attached 2-stall garage. I think the idea was there was a house that was deteriorating, and it was in need of repair, and it was a massive repair needed with roof almost gone and some structural elements too. So the idea was to build a new house. Since it's in the character district, the downtown character district, there were some requirements on, how the house should look like, any architecture elements, fenestrations. So here is the site plan that was proposed. As you can see, it's a simple plan with house facing the Iowa Street and garage facing the West 5th Street. The idea was to do a attached 2-stall garage, and then I wanted to share the before-after pictures. So yes, the pictures on the left look pretty, but as you can see closely, there are some areas where you'll see, oh, that needs a repair and a big one. And also the garage was in a bad shape. So anyway, the new house looks, the pictures on the right is where the new house looks like. This project has been completed, and it's family occupied home now. I just wanted to share a comment from a realtor that I received that they were able to sell this in matter of hours because the number of windows on this house is too many, and the buyers loved it. So the other project I would like to highlight is it was a storefront update for a 317 Main Street. This is about updating an existing storefront for a new restaurant. You may have seen this. It's called Patents. So that project has been completed as well. So I would like to highlight the left image is what the proposed illustration was as part of review. And then you could see the image of the previous storefront. And then the new image to the right, which is almost, the facade is all done. This is a cotton steel facade. So basically it will age gradually, and it would look just like the proposed illustration in few years. So it's not black, it's still a cotton steel. One thing which we were able to achieve with this code is if you see the previous storefront image, they had a small window and a doorway access to the store. I think now you see a big window. So the idea was to increase the fenestration of the store towards facing the main street. That way they have more visibility, that way they have more interaction, and also encourage more live environment on Main Street on a pedestrian level. So that's something we were able to achieve. Another of the project, which also includes another storefront update on Main Street. Again, this is part of the storefront frontage. This review for this project has been completed. The project was to update the existing storefront facade to provide a fresh new look. This project is currently ongoing. So the proposed illustration shows that let me highlight the previous storefront in the bottom image had awnings. The awnings are all gone now. I think the idea was to put a fresh new look, and I just took a picture of the ongoing project image just for reference on what it looks like. I think that includes updating all the storefront glazing as well as doors and just some cleaning up the old facade that was all there. So it's an ongoing project. It's not yet completed, but it would look something similar. So with that, there's another big project which I wanted to highlight. This is a site plan and design review for a new mixed-use building. It's on the corner of East 3rd and State Street. The site is currently highlighted on your screen on your image to the right. This is an urban general frontage. This project's review is ongoing, but I would like to just share the glimpse of what this project is. This project includes a proposal for a new 4-story mixed-use building featuring retail on main level and about 17 2-bedroom apartments on upper levels. And here are the images. So that's on the left side, you could see the proposed building floor plan, the site plan for this site. The highlighted red area is where the building footprint will be on the main level. And then on the right side is more of a architecture rendering for what this building is going to look like. This will be a continuation of what the 3rd and Main Street building looks like. The building is cladded with terracotta and brick on the main level. So anyway, more to come on this, but I just wanted to highlight this, that this is the review for this project is ongoing, and I think there's some just minor updates pending. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on these projects, but this was just an update that we are just sharing as part of the new downtown character district projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Some nice highlights of some good projects, and I think positive things happening with the new, zoning downtown. So thank you very much for sharing. Is there any questions for JD?
I just had a question about the property next to Patton's. Is that in line to also be improved?
Yes. So earlier, I think back in 2022, there was a one big storefront update that was going to be happening. I think it's still owned by the same owner. They ran out of funds for this one. I think that will be coming in future, hopefully. But I think the idea was to have one restaurant and one like restaurant/bar area. So, but maybe something in future. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's all owned by, both properties are owned by the same owner, and I think they were thinking about one idea for a restaurant and then are now kind of rethinking that restaurant. So I think he's planning to do something in the future with that one.
All right, thank you. Any more questions for staff on that presentation? Any
Thank
of the
you. Appreciate
projects?
it. Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
thank you very much. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.